Hello all, we're back again with the second video for the Walther P22. This is explaining the breakdown process, and as you can see there's a number of bits and pieces that come in the toolkit. This here is a replacement backstrap. This is actually the narrow backstrap. I've got the thicker backstrap on it just to fit my hand a little bit better. This spanner tool is actually to loosen the end of the barrel if you wanted to put the shorter barrel back on, if you wanted to remove the extended barrel feature. So I actually don't have the smaller barrel, so I've not used that, but I just thought I'd get it out to show you. This is the key to comply with Californian law, where you need to have a key to be able to lock the trigger. That's all that is. Here is the doweling that I mentioned in the previous video. It's just a black plastic rod that extends the recoil retainer pin to allow you to essentially reattach the slide, which is a bit fiddly, but we'll show you that soon. There's a replacement front sight. They give you two different sizes of front sights, as you can see. I actually replaced it for the slightly larger one, I think. And here are the two Allen keys. These are the two tools that you will use most of all. Now, obviously we've shown you the components of the kit. What we need now is the P22. Okay, so the gun is safe.
As proof.
There's the magazine. The magazine we don't need, obviously. This needs to be out of the gun to do anything. It's pretty much the same as any other weapon. The magazine generally restricts the slide movement and things like that, so nothing new there. Just really a trap for new players. So we'll put this off to the side. Now the pistol itself, currently, just to show you that it's empty and it's safe. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, there's a number of tools required in order to break this down, especially given that it's an extended barrel, which is really the problem with the breakdown of this particular weapon, the extended barrel. Obviously, if you didn't have this extension on the gun, you wouldn't need to remove it and you wouldn't need to go through this particular step. But as it's quite a small gun and a very light gun without it, I have seen, well, most people I've seen with the P22 do have the extension on it, so I'll start from the beginning. So as you can see, we have two different size Allen keys. The larger one obviously is for these two here, and the smaller one is for a very small Allen key opening at the top there. So I'll begin by taking the large Allen key, placing it into this particular section up here, if I can get it to seat. There we go. And just loosen it off. You don't actually need to completely remove these screws, you just need to loosen them off. It's essentially just a clamp, so we'll just loosen those like that, and that's pretty much all you need to do with that, and that can now sit over here. Now the small one goes to the top here. This is essentially what holds it in place. So I'll seat that Allen key just in there, as you can see, just behind the sight, and we'll loosen that off. And you have to loosen this a little bit further, as it actually holds into the barrel, as you'll see shortly. Now this will move off the weapon. There we go. So that again is essentially just a milled piece of aluminium. Doesn't really hold any other purpose other than to add a little bit of weight to the weapon. So we'll sit that off to the side. As you can see, you've got your extended barrel there, and you can just see a small detent in the end of the barrel there, and that there is actually on a thread. So if you did have the smaller version, you would take your little wrench here, you would insert it into there, and then you can actually unscrew that and replace the barrel with the smaller one, so that your P22 would end at this point rather than have the extra amount of barrel there just for accuracy. So now that we've taken that step off, it allows the slide to become free. So what we need to do is we'll drop that back, and here is the clip again, you can see on both sides. That essentially pulls down, which I found that if you try and pull that down like that, it's very difficult. So generally what I do is hold the weapon like that and just flick it down with the thumbs on both sides, and it tends to come away quite easily like that, you see. Now that's the lock on the slide, that's free. So now what you have to do is pull this back, lift, and bring it forward, as you will see. Bring it back, it lifts up, it comes forward and comes away like that. Now it's a fixed barrel, as you can see, so in the slide you've really just got the firing pin mechanism, and that's it. So we'll set that off over here as well, just where you can see it. There's your large recoil spring and your recoil retention pin there. And that is pretty much the field strip. Because it's a fixed barrel, you can't remove that, so cleaning can be a bit of a pain. You can see down the barrel there. I don't know if you can quite see, the barrel actually is a stainless steel insert, so it's not a solid barrel. But again, in the 22, it's served its purpose quite well. I can't report any excessive wear. Some of this, what looks like dust here, is actually the lubrication I use. I prefer to use a dry lubrication rather than a wet, just so that I don't end up with caked carbon or anything like that. And it leaves a little bit of residue behind, which is the actual lubrication or work. You can see a little bit more up here. It looks a little bit more liquidy, but actually it's a dry lubricant and works very well. As you can see, there's little to no wear on the end of that barrel at all, or along the side where it actually moves. The slide moves along there. So it definitely works well for me. I prefer it. I use the Hornady one-shot gun cleaner and dry lube. It's a good two-step product that I find works particularly well, especially for pistols. So you would go through your cleaning process at this point with the individual components. You would clean your barrel, and then you would clean your slide section here, which is really the firing pin assembly, which you can see just in there. And other than that, there's not a huge amount to it. So you would give that a good clean. Well, being a 22, there tends to be a fairly large carbon cleanup. This section here, I normally give a quick clean too, but it doesn't really gather much grime other than around here, obviously, from where the muzzle is. But other than that, again, it's really just a block of aluminium to add weight. So it's a fairly simple gun. The problem comes putting it back together. Now, because this recoil spring is quite long, and it seats into the pistol down there underneath the barrel, as you can see, if I go ahead and seat that in there, because of the extended barrel, if I try to load that back on there, there's not really anywhere down here for that spring to seat easily, and you find that it ends up doing something like that. If it was in frame, that would help. There we go. So what you need to do is use the doweling, like so. I usually take it out for this, it makes it a little bit easier. Use the doweling and run it all the way down so that it meets up with the retainer pin. Replace that into the recess, and then you take your slide, you line this part up, which you can see has got a point on it, with that hole there, as you can see me attempting to do through the viewfinder there. You can see it just poking through the end, and that then allows you to pull back. The doweling drops out and it's back on the rail. So it's a little bit of fiddly, but it does work. But you do need this. If you lose that, you can use a bit of wooden dowel. It's not too much of a problem, but it's definitely not as easy to put back together as some semi-automatics. But it's something you learn to live with, and you can see that given a bit of practice, I was able to do that in one go, and it was relatively easy to do.